screen? I know it's probably a little small,
Yeah.
but can everybody see it at least?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it looks kind of good.
Yeah.
Oh, if you haven't started recording, now
I
would be a
just
good time. All right, cool.
Okay, cool. So yeah, welcome to our first general modding session / tutorial. We're just gonna be walking through some of the basics and how to get started on poking around in Mario Superstar Baseball.
Cool.
All right, so now that the formal stuff is out of the way, first thing you're gonna need is so the general format is we have this tool that lets us look into the actual memory of the GameCube, like the RAM, and that allows us to kind of search for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll show you an example and then I'll kind of explain how to use the tool.
Is that tool in Dolphin, or is that like an external tool that we have to find and download?
I have the links. It's an external tool.
Mhm.
I can drop it in the modding chat right now.
Sweet.
Yep. It should be pinned all right, but
Yeah, I think it is, but
yeah, helps to send it again.
okay, so there's that. There are some instructions here. We don't have to get into it tonight, but I can. Me or Cokes can show you guys how to do it. You do have to build it from scratch. It's not like a program you can just download and install.
Oh, I see.
That's kind of annoying, but it's not too bad. The instructions are very good. He kind of lists it all out here. I heard a ding. Did we get someone new?
What's up, Tom?
What's up, guys?
Oh, hello.
So this is like kind of the first thing you need. Once you have it,
go ahead and download it and set it up.
I wouldn't worry about it right now because it is very involved to get it going.
Okay.
You're recording this anyway, right?
Yes.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't bother right now.
Yeah, but this is what it looks like. This guy right here.
Mhm.
Okay.
So there's this little hook button at the top. Once you do that, it kind of like hooks onto your Dolphin run, and it shows you the memory, which is kind of cool. So let me get through the. Maybe my keyboard isn't working.
What are you trying to show right now?
Right now I'm just trying to get off of this cutscene. I would like to just kind of demo the tool a little bit just to give people an idea. Is this really
standard controller, right? Is it configured?
There we go. Okay.
Always happens.
There we go.
Cool. All right. So that's yeah. So how it works is you type in. Basically, it's like a searching tool, so you can search for anything you know or anything you don't know. So this is a really good example, actually. We'll do Mario and Luigi.
Mm-hmm.
Let's search for the pregame stars. I'm going to turn down my game, actually. So we'll search for the pregame stars, for example, because that's something we know. It's actually pretty easy. So right now our pregame stars is 0. So you type in 0, and you don't want this force alignment. You'll do a first scan. It's going to scan through the entire GameCube memory and return any register or address that's holding a 0. So you can see in this top left corner we have like 13 million some.
Yeah, real quick, can you make that window a little bit bigger? I don't know how well it is for everyone else.
I don't think it's going to help, but
fuzzy. Okay.
Yeah,
can
it's
it
the unfortunate matter. But if you like commentate what you're looking at, because we can see your mouse at least.
Yeah.
Then we can still follow along.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. So in the top left corner, right here, it'll tell you how many addresses we found, and
you can probably also zoom in if it's the recording later.
That is true. Hopefully, it's like picking it up well enough. But then you have all these options. So after your first scan, you can see you have next scan or reset scan.
Mm-hmm.
Reset will take you back to like the beginning. Next scan will kind of it'll look for the value again. the program has like all these options. So if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, like we know like stars is easy because it's going to be 0 through 5. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for, but you know, like, for example, DK's bat is stronger than like Goomba's bat. So when DK gets up to bat, you could say increased. And it'll like show you all of the registers that have increased since the last time you scanned, which is actually how we found the batting stats initially. So for stars, we do know the exact value though. So if we pick like Yoshi will give us 5 stars, then we can type in a 5 here, and we're on exact value. So it's going to look for a 5 now, and it'll run through, and now you can see we have 130 results, and it'll start showing them live. So you can see a lot of these are actually kind of just changing. They're just like nonsense. They don't mean anything. So if we do like another scan for 5, we get down to 65 results. Maybe do it again. Okay, cool. Then we could pick someone like Bowser, who's gonna like bring us down a few stars. So we're at 3 stars now. We're gonna look at 3. Okay, so there it is. We got it. There's our address. So we can add
a quick question.
Yeah, please.
I'm probably getting a little bit too far ahead, but I guess to explain for people who don't know. So in Dolphin, when you're booting up a game, there's a tool that is Cheats Manager, which looks like it does a similar thing to what you're doing right now. Is there a difference between this program and the Cheats Manager that comes with Dolphin?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Cheats Manager, I could show you how to do that in Dolphin, but it lacks a ton of these features. I think it got broken in a previous update or something.
Okay.
So it doesn't have like the bigger than, smaller than, increased by. It's pretty bare bones. And I don't think you can look for unknown values either. So,
do you know if there's a way where you can like make some of these into the cheat menu?
Not. You mean like
not now, but like, do you think that's possible?
Add these functions into Dolphin?
Yeah, like, well, like if you have, like, I know I've used the cheat menu on Project 64, and there's just like a drop-down menu full of things.
Yeah, I mean, this is in Dolphin, and I know it was working better at some point. It just got broken. So yeah, it's totally possible to add this to Dolphin.
Cool.
In fact, it would be easier if this was part of Dolphin, but here we are, I guess.
Gotta wait till Dolphin gets their shit together. Or if
basically, yeah.
But this is totally fine for now. This does the job. So that's how you find something you would know. And I'll just quickly do one you wouldn't know, and then we can open it up to questions. Okay. So, does anyone have any ideas of things we wouldn't know?
Could you do like, instead of 3 for 5, could you do, can you change it to 3 back to, or like if you were at 5 stars, can you change it to 3 stars and then scan again for a not equals?
So just say it one more time.
Take Bowser off again.
Yeah.
And then you have 5 stars.
Yeah.
And then scan. And then after you scan, you put Bowser back in, and then you just scan for a not equals.
That would also work, yes.
Okay.
The thing with, and you'll find this out if you use the program, is the more exact you can be, the better. So there's this idea. Oh, hold on. Let me. I reset my scan, so I don't have the stars on. But I just want to show you these options real quick.
Mm-hmm.
There's a changed and unchanged, and they're good for things that like you have no idea. Like I think I found some stadium hazards with changed, unchanged. It's just really slow because it doesn't eliminate a lot. Like a lot of things are in motion here, so it just doesn't really narrow it down all too well. But it is handy. So yeah, there's changed, there's unchanged. Between, like if you think something is between something, that can be handy. Increase, decrease. So yeah, I would say try to use things like increase, decrease. Between they will get you to your answer much faster.
Yeah.
Than change unchanged, but sometimes you have to use them. So
Do something so for example, like you guys made Wario Palace and Yoshi Park hazard list. So does that mean the hazards also have like numerical values to them?
yeah, I mean everything has a numerical value to it. Yeah. The way the hazards work is like in Yoshi's, for example, the PD or the piranha plants, they have they have a state associated with them. So they start at 0. When they're sprouting, it's like 3 or something. When they're like a fully realized plant, it's 5, and then when they're like despawning, it's like 2. So what we ended up doing was we just set them to 0, and they'll never sprout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now, if anyone's confused on exactly what memory addresses are and how exactly they work, now would probably be a good time to transition into that. If anyone wants us to go over that.
That's a good point. Yeah. So yeah, we have this 5 here. We can change. Like one thing I do want to show you before we move on is you can change it to 3 and lock it. There's this little lock check mark, and then it won't update.
Anybody.
It won't update it won't update on the video. But if you started this game right now, you would have 3 stars.
I see.
So you can edit the game with this program too, and kind of get an idea about what's going to happen when you change stuff. Kind of handy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As for what Cokes just said, Cokes, do you want to take a stab at it, or you want me to do this?
Yeah, I'll do it. Do you want me to share screen instead, or kind of work from your screen?
If you want to grab sharing, go for it.
All right. Let me get up a game real quick. So while I'm waiting on this, so here, okay, audio's down. Cool. Okay. So what we mean by memory addresses, essentially, the way computers work. I mean, everything is just stored in numbers. Computers, you might hear them described as math machines. It's essentially they're kind of just moving numbers around, adding things, subtracting, multiplying, all that fun stuff. So whenever numbers are generated, the computer does literally anything. It's got to store that information somewhere, and where that information is stored is just called a memory address. And memory just means some location in memory. Memory just could be literally anything. In fact, anything that goes on in the game has to be stored in some memory address. So, for example, as we saw, the number of stars, right? There's a memory address for that, 0 through 5. There's a memory address for the number of outs in an inning. It ranges from 0 to 3, for example. But even things like just the code of the game has memory addresses for it. Things like graphical data, which the color of this pixel, right? That has sound. Like everything in the game has some sort of memory address. Obviously, we don't care about things like the graphics and the sound, and whatnot. So,
well, it's not that we don't care about them. It's just it'd be impossible for us to tell what they are.
Yeah, exactly.
It would just look like gibberish.
Yeah, but essentially, a memory address is just where the computer stores some information. And so that's why we always talk about memory addresses when we mod. It's essentially when we're using a Gecko code, which is what all the mods are currently. All they are is just modifying certain memory addresses. So for the basic stuff, like a memory address that we just found, that's storing what's called a byte, which is just a 2-digit hex number. And again, this is why decimal obviously is the number system we use, 0 through 9. Hex is 0 through 15. And this is why for modding purposes, it's a lot more useful to think of things in hex, just because that's what the computer and that's what the game uses. But a byte would be something that's a 2-digit hex number from 0 to FF or 63. There's also things like a word, which is 8 digits. That's usually reserved for things like actual computer code, so instructions and assembly. Again, that's a bit more advanced. I'm not sure how much in depth
Yeah, I wouldn't go much
right
further
now.
than that.
Yeah. But for the basic stuff like this, it's really just we're just looking for bytes, those basic memory addresses.
Just to give you some examples, like of things we found, like this is my master sheet right now of like not every, but like addresses I found along the way. We found one for like the input, like this one holds A, B, X, or Y from your controller. This one holds the C stick. This one holds how many runners are on base. This one, like, these are stats, batting stats. This one tells you which player you're controlling in the outfield, or these are like mysterious MVP addresses that I've not gotten around to figuring out yet.
And this is all through just kind of, literally mining and digging, and just like, okay, so maybe this value is 0. All right, let's go to 5. Let's see what that pulls up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's more so that, like, so for the MVP stuff, like I got Bowser MVP, like I searched for 9 because that's Bowser's number. Then I went back and, I got MVP with like Toadsworth. Okay, that's 1C. So then when you know the number, like with the more stuff like the faster it goes. Like I was able to narrow these down pretty quickly.
I think it's gonna be crazy once you figure out how the game decides the MVP. That sounds like so much work.
Yeah. It's I don't know yet.
Yeah, the best theory we have is, I think you were mentioning this before, like there's just some sort of number, some score associated with each player, and I don't know, maybe number of innings pitched is like each inning you pitch is a point. Maybe a home run gives you a point for each one. Like we're not entirely sure.
Different points.
That's our best guess, but again, we can't be sure. We're a lot of this, especially when you get to harder stuff like finding out how the game decides an MVP. That's a lot more like theoretical stuff. You really just gotta guess, like how could a computer computate something like that? How could a computer determine which player played the best that game? And you kind of just think of ways and you test your theories and see if it works out. Something like how many outs are in the inning, right? Is really only one way to do that. You have a memory address and it's between 0 and 3. That's kind of very basic. But something like, the MVP, that's done, that can be done in a lot of different ways. And so that's where this starts to get a little bit more difficult, is when you have to start thinking of ways, how could the game handle this function? How could the game handle this part of the game? And kind of just work from there.
Yeah, that's why we talk to Hongji a lot. I'm like constantly asking people like what they think, because any quirky thing you pick up could be a clue as to what the game is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of guesswork, and like the hazards took me like honestly probably the longest, because I have no idea how it handles the piranha plant, what it's doing.
Mm-hmm. So
like we were looking for hitboxes at one point, that was totally wrong. So
yeah,
you just never know.
Yeah, exactly. The Wario's one was funny too, because it was very similar to the piranha plants, where there's a memory address with a state that was 1 was it notices a player, 2 was it begins to move, 4 was it's fully extended, and then 5 was active hitbox, and then 3 was retreating. It was something very strange like that. And the way actually the workaround that I end up using to turn that off, there's a separate memory address that stored whether the thing was even awake or not, and you just kind of set it to always be asleep. So that way, even if that other memory address was changing, it didn't matter. It was asleep. It wasn't going to do anything. So I didn't originally think that's how it worked, but I thought the 0 on that one memory address would mean I was sleeping, but it used a completely separate memory address, and I kind of just happened to stumble upon that by accident and ended up working out. But yeah, again, a lot of like guess and check work going on here. Is anyone so far like confused or any questions on what we've covered so far? Like, how does everyone feel about what we've done?
I am good for now. I didn't.
Okay.
How much at the
don't speak for
beginning did I
everyone
miss?
now.
I'm sorry, what was that?
How much did I miss at the beginning?
Oh, not much. We're like just doing an introduction.
Sick.
Okay. What else do you feel we should go into? And if we want, I have a good example to at least kind of go over the assembly instructions a bit. Or do you think how gecko codes work would be more useful? What do you think?
Yeah, that's cover. I'm just trying to think about like the process, right? So the first step is to find your memory address.
Uh-huh.
Once you have that, that opens a lot of doors. So this is like the number of stars you have in a game at any given moment. We could write a gecko code. Basically, what's a good way to explain a gecko code? It's just added code to the game. It's like an instruction. So we could write a one-line code that says always write 5 to this memory address, and that would give you 5 stars no matter what. No matter how many stars you use, you'd always have 5 stars in the bank.
Yeah.
So that's like a really easy code you could write. So that's like, if you guys are just looking to get up and do stuff like that, that's like so achievable. You could even send us the memory addresses and we could help you write your code.
Yeah, so coincidentally, that actually is one of the codes already on the doc. Let me see where it is. Yeah, all teams are 5-star teams. And it's really just 2 instructions. One of them, set this memory address to 5, and set player 2's memory address to 5, and that's it. You know?
Yeah, it's so they can be
Very
really
simple.
easy like that.
Other times you have something like the random star swing code, which is not as straightforward.
Penguin, I think you were asking today about setting a captain's chemistry with himself. Is that?
Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense to have chemistry with yourselves, but obviously in the game it's not programmed because there's not supposed to be duplicates of them.
So something like that we found. Again, I know you can't see it too well, but on my screen it's like all of the stats in the game for Mario, and they don't mean a lot in this form. But something like that, where you just need Mario's chemistry with himself to be better. Like I could tell you, or you could look at even this chart we have, this Excel sheet. You could scroll over and find the memory address for Mario's chemistry with Mario. Mm-hmm. So it's right with a little bit of math.
That exists?
Yeah, so it's right here. What is 50 in hex?
This Excel sheet is pinned to this channel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's also in the Reddit post that Cokes made.
I see.
Yeah, I saw that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So let me see.
Is it spreadsheet of all the in-game stats? Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
I tried to color code as best I could. The chemistry charts are all the purple columns.
So okay, here 6-3. This is Mario's chemistry with Mario. So it's 32, which is hex. In decimal, it's 50. And you can just use a calculator for those conversions. It's very, you don't have to be like, let's see, you would turn it to hex, you type in 32, and you would see that decimal was 50. You could just write a code that changes that to 99, which is 63, because this is Luigi's chemistry. So if you wrote a code that just edits this address to 63, you would potentially have that chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
With the caveat we were discussing earlier about if that introduces a bug.
Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes things unexpected happen. So here's a good example actually on the same topic. So the way that the game calculates the in-game stars, right? How many team stars you have. It simply just checks how much chemistry each player has with the captain, and then, takes the average, and then based on that number, there's certain intervals, if the average captain chemistry is 70 and above, it's a 5-star team. I think 55 to 70 is a 4-star team, and it intervals all the way down. So if you draft 9 Mario, well, it's all 50, so that should be, a 3-star team, but it's actually a 0-star team, because, something unexpected, there's an in-game check where the game does not count the captain itself as in the chemistry calculation. And so since all of the players are Mario, the game will be like, oh, they're all captains, and it'll ignore all of them, so you get 0. So sometimes it's unexpected stuff. So let's say, we try to write a code and, we make Mario's chemistry with himself 99. Theoretically, let's think, okay, that should give him chemistry with himself, but maybe something unexpected happens in the game. Maybe it just crashes. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work because the game checks if it's the captain itself, and sometimes it's this weird, unexpected stuff like that, and that's why this again becomes a lot of trial and error. Almost always, you'll never get code worked like correctly on the first try. There's always going to be some weird thing that you forgot and something you didn't consider. So that's something to keep in mind. Try not to get frustrated. It's very easy to get frustrated trying to look for things and wondering why stuff doesn't work. And I guess patience is like one important thing here.
Like Cokes and I have worked on like codes for days. It's just spinning our wheels,
Yeah.
So I do want to say before we get too far into this, like this kind of memory searching is very I don't want to say easy. It's very approachable. Like I have complete confidence you guys could like do this just from this tutorial, just watching that other guy. What's his name?
Dan Salvato.
Salvato, yeah.
Yeah, his videos are great. Like just between those two, you guys could do this because I mean that's how we started. And finding these addresses, even if that's like all you like the furthest you want to go, that is still like extremely helpful.
Yeah. Is there a way for you to share the addresses you've already found?
This tool has like a nice little export button. I could give you a CSV and then you can import it. I have to test that out, but yeah, in theory, yeah.
Afterwards, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, some of these are just like you can see. Well, maybe you can't, but there's a lot of them have no label. These ones all have MVP question mark. So some of them, I can make like a nice list though. That's like things I know for sure.
I mean, but it's a starting point still.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. I think we kind of covered everything. At least that's how the basics memory search works, and kind of how in general the Gecko codes work. So if you want to get more into writing Gecko codes and the actual cheat codes that make the mods work, I can link stuff later on. Essentially, the way Gecko codes work, it uses the weird code code type. That's WIIRD. And there's a million different options you have. Write an 8-bit value, 16-bit value, 32-bit value. You can put in conditionals like an if equal statement, if not equal statement, and then insert assembly code. It gets pretty advanced in there. If you want to learn that, if you want to like figure out how to write the get codes, how that all works, all the power to you. Feel free to do that, and it makes you a little bit more like, I guess, independent in your code writing. So you can, if you wanted to just work on one thing by yourself, or if you didn't want to have to wait for us to try to help you out, then I'd recommend learning that. If that seems a bit too daunting for you, that's fine. Again, finding memory addresses, like we've been saying, is incredibly important anyway. And if that's what you want to focus on, by all means, that's a huge help anyway. But yeah, the Gecko codes are a little bit more, I guess. There's a bit of a learning curve. It's not too difficult, but it would take some time to kind of understand them.
And it's totally doable, and there's tons of great guides.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Again, like I'd have absolutely no programming knowledge. I've never. If you told me to write a hello world.exe, I could not do it. I have no idea how to do that. But the Gecko code stuff, I kind of picked up pretty easily. So, it's one of those things. It takes a little bit of time to understand, but it's entirely doable.
There's lots of things to find still. I mean, like the speedrunners are asking for stuff like all the time. There's stuff we want to find. that we're not quite sure yet. So
Yeah.
What are you guys looking in for, like, specifically?
At the
Well,
moment,
I
or
promised Jen to find him how the MVP formula works.
yeah. So right now I've been working on fixing the duplicate character code. There's a bug where if you draft random teams, it soft locks the game. And after like months of knowing that was a problem, we actually finally confirmed what the problem is. The problem was that when the game would randomly pick the captain, it would notice that it picked the captain twice and freak out. And so the way to fix that is to, whenever you press the random button, to make the captain appear as a picked character already. And so that way the game doesn't pick it twice. So, now I have to work on actually implementing that into the game where there's no side effects, no other glitches. So that's an example of one other thing I'm working on right now. Something like that, make it so that way, let's say in this example, we have Mario as a captain. So make it so that way Mario is always pickable except when the random button is pressed. The way I'm doing that is through more like ASM code, an ASM injection right now, which is a bit more of an advanced thing to do. Which, if you guys are interested, I can go at least a little bit into that. Obviously, we're not gonna be able to teach you guys this assembly right now,
But
But
do you probably want that?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you have a basic idea of how assembly works, though, you'll understand why everyone thinks assembly's scary, because it is.
Let me show you guys like what. So, are there any questions? I guess before we
No, not right now.
go to the next step, it kind
Alright,
of makes sense. Cool. The next step would be once you find your addresses and you want to write, or like in my example, like I just want to find out how the MVP selection works.
Mhm.
That becomes kind of a different beast. So I kind of want to show you what assembly. I don't want to explain give you guys all the details, but I just kind of want to expose you guys to this a little bit, just so you have a feel for like what the process is like. If you get Dolphin and you run it with a special flag on it, like it's -D, you get Dolphin in debug mode.
Yeah.
Which is not pretty to look at, but it's kind of cool. It'll show you exactly the code that is running at any given time in the game. So this is Mario Baseball at its core. Like this is the code that's running. You can see it's very ugly. It's not very human readable, but this is assembly. So things are, these are stores to addresses and loads and adds and compares and every other operation you can think of. Basically, when the programmers wrote this game in C or C++, they went through a compiler, and this is what the compiler spits out. So we are looking at compiled code, which adds a nice little extra bit of difficulty to this because the compiler can do weird things, and the developers might not have intended for things to work as they do, but that's how they work. So their next step in Dolphin debug mode is to add breakpoints. So if we're trying to figure out the MVP formula, or we should probably do something even easier. Let's see, Daisy. So this address tells us if Daisy has been picked yet at the character selection screen. You can see it's a 0. If we grab this address, we can copy, and we go to the breakpoints tab in Dolphin and hit new. And it's not an instruction. This is a memory address. An instruction would be like a line of code in that assembly I showed you. You hit memory breakpoints. You put in your address. And we only care about when the game writes to it, like updates the value. If we wanted to know, like, the batting formula, for example, we might care about when the game reads the batting stats to figure out what it's doing with them. But we care about a write, so we'll select write here, hit OK. And now we'll resume. And when we pick Daisy, the game will stop. It'll stop on the instruction that is updating her memory address. It's highlighted in green right here. So this is the line of code that is marking her picked. And now that we're here, we can kind of check out what's around it. We could go a few instructions up. I know it doesn't mean a lot to you right now, but as you become more familiar with it and assembly, this is like crucial. This is kind of like our bread and butter. You can all of these at like R4, R5. They're different numbers that the game is working on, and you can kind of figure out what it's doing in this chunk of code here. Obviously, here it's very easy. You can see it's loading a 1 into R0 and then like just storing it. So it's just saying like, okay, set this to 1. Not super interesting, but for like the MVP, for example, like I would look up in the code and be like, why is it saying Bowser's the MVP? Like what numbers is it comparing? What is it adding? What is it subtracting? Things like that. And that'll help us get like a better picture of what's going on. That's actually how I found the chemistry formula. We were trying to figure out like what happens when this changes to 5. Like what's going on in the code. And we were seeing that like it was doing some averaging of the chemistry values. It was like doing some compares. So that's kind of the next step. Once you get your addresses, you start setting breakpoints and you start seeing how the game is using them and updating them. And that'll paint I'm not going to say a good picture. It'll paint some sort of picture. You can kind of start putting pieces together that way.
Yeah. A great example of the like a good use for this breakpoint idea in the memory tool. So for the stadium hazards, for example, a really annoying problem we had with it is that for Yoshi's, we start off with, we found all the memory addresses for each of the plants, and we said, perfect, we're done. We're just gonna set each of those addresses to 0, so that way they're never sprouting, and it's cool. And we said, all right, let's test it. And we put the code in, and we ran the game, and it didn't work. And we said, what's going on? And so we tried it again. We looked at those memory addresses, and we figured out that they changed. Those were no longer the memory addresses of the plants. They were somewhere else. And so what the problem was that every time you load up the game, the memory address of the plants was different. I have no idea why. Again, that's probably like Peacock Slayer was saying before, something to do with the compiler. I'm sure the programs didn't intentionally make it switch every single time. But that was an issue. And so what we did instead is that once we knew one of the memory addresses, we set a breakpoint for that memory address. And we, once it got changed, we saw the instruction in assembly, which was updating the plant. And instead, we just changed that instruction. So instead of, set the plant's value to the sprouting value to 5 or whatever, we said set it to 0, so that way it doesn't sprout. And doing that actually solved the problem, because now it didn't matter what the memory address was, we changed the instruction itself. And so that code ended up being pretty much one line effectively. So, stuff like that is where this becomes a lot more handy. But that's just one example.
Good times. That took a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, just unexpected stuff when something's not working. You just kind of have to stand back and kind of dumb things down to yourself and just take it through step by step.
Day hitting balls at Piranha Plants.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Was it
I'm
more
telling you,
difficult finding the code, or like kind of fixing that problem that you came across?
Figuring out the problem, I think.
Well, so I got all of the plants, and I use save states when I'm doing this. Highly recommend save states.
Yeah.
Do you think you're really good at hitting it to the piranha plant on purpose now?
I know I'm
Have
really
you
good at
perfected it?
Yeah, I know I'm really good at hitting it towards the piranha plants. Yeah, so the hard part was once we found out that they changed, it wasn't really one hard part. It was just dealing with the problems as they came up. It was lots of unexpected stuff. Like we're like, oh shit, they changed, and then we're like, found them again. We're like, oh, it changed again. Like, why are they changing? So, I mean, once you know what you're doing, you have some experience under your belt. It does actually get much faster. But the first few months for us were very slow going.
Yeah.
When'd you guys start?
I think my first message in the Discord, I got double Waluigi's on my team, was like November 7th.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. Okay. So, all right. Any questions on that? Like what we just covered?
No.
Or no? Okay.
And this is, I mean, if you guys can get like addresses
Mhm.
and then play around with like the breakpoints, even if you're just like, okay, I do not want to look at this mess, I wouldn't blame you at all. But if you could just like send that to us, still super valuable information.
Yeah. And again, there's only so much we can like go over. Obviously, it's just the basic stuff. Just techniques on like how to find a certain, whatever, how to find the memory address that you're looking for. That kind of just comes with time, like, and just like, it's kind of just thinking about how the game would work in a way. Like the technique for how do you use the memory tool to find if the piranha plants were sprouting and whatnot. Stuff like that can be obviously it can be a little bit slow at first, especially when you're new to using the tool. But over time, as you do it more and more, it becomes pretty. It starts to seem easy. So that's kind of that. All right, so
I don't want to get into assembly injection yet.
yeah, not the injection. I can go over like I guess I have a decent example of like how the assembly instructions work. It's one of the codes of the unlimited extra innings. So
Sure. Do you guys like how are we feeling? Like, do we want to keep going or?
I'm game. I'm
yeah,
down.
I have no objections.
all right, cool.
Yeah,
All right, I'll share my screen then. Let's go to
Yeah, let me.
screen and okay, cool. All right, so you should see here, right? See screen? All right, cool. So I pre-made this, of course, 'cause I didn't feel like doing all the work all over again. So I kind of set it up here. So one of the codes I wanted to do was unlimited extra innings. That's in the doc right now. So this one was an interesting one to try to figure out. How does the game, decide when when's the last inning of the game? And again, this is one where it might not be a clear answer at first. Obviously, something like again, how many outs are in the game? That's very clear. There's a memory just between 0 and 3, or that stores a number between 0 and 3. But something like this may not be as clear, and there's a couple of different ideas here. So what I thought of was, well, there's likely a memory address for how many innings the game is set to, and then a memory address for what's the max inning count. That's how I thought of it. And so I decided to test this. So again, I used the memory tool. I got it over here. This guy is incredibly useful. I'm sorry, did you say something?
Oh yeah, sorry. I like the Pikachu cursor.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so I use the memory tool. And basically what I would do is I would load up a game with, let's say, 1 inning. And I thought to myself, all right, well, if it's a 1 inning game, then the max inning count is 4. So I was like, well, that's plus 3. 1 plus 4. 1 plus 3 is 4, right? So I would load up a game that was a 1 inning game, and I would search for an address that was equal to 4. Then I would load up another game that was a 3 inning game, and I'll look for an address that was equal to what is this, plus 3, so 6, right? Then I would load up another game with 5 innings. I'll look for an address equal to 8, 7, 10, 9, something that's equal to 12, right? And eventually, I end up stumbling upon the memory address that I wanted. So this is where we are right now. What I essentially did is I found the memory address that was, linked to controlling what the max inning count is. Then I can go ahead and set a breakpoint for that memory address, and it brings me to around here in assembly. So you see the game is loading right now. So while the game's loading, it's doing a bunch of stuff. It's rewriting all these values. It's doing math, computer stuff. And the game, I set a breakpoint. It stops over here. So we can actually go now to let's go. Well, let's just kind of go through this assembly. Can you guys see this well, or is it still like blurry? You can't
good.
see. It is good. Okay.
Yeah, we can see well, yeah.
Okay. So, let's go to. Okay. So so pretty much this instruction right here. This is actually the one we're interested in. So it should highlight in green.
No, it
Okay,
won't do that until it executes.
Oh, okay, got you. So, okay. So right here. So this one highlighted in green here is the one that I was interested in. So this is, we have this column right here which says address. So this is the memory address. So it's 80, a bunch of numbers. And then it says ADDI, which means add immediate. So it's pretty much just add stuff together. And then we have R0, R4, 3. So now we're going to go to this registers tab. And this brings us all of this stuff. This F0 stuff, this, what is this, I, B, D, kind of ignore that. We're really just interested in this column right here, which is R0, and it goes all the way to R31. These are the in-game registers. What a register is essentially a temporary, a place where the game can temporarily store memory. It would be very annoying for the game to have to, like, scan through all the memory addresses at once and run the game like that. The game will run at maybe a quarter of a frame per second. So instead it uses registers to temporarily store memory and do all of its changes there, and then it helps the computer run a lot more smoothly. So what this instruction says, we have it says add immediate, we have R0, R4, and then 3. So if we go look at, this is what's in R0, so we can copy this, paste it up here. Okay, that's this one. And then let's see, we have R4.
Wait, no, folks, no.
No, yeah, this doesn't look right.
R0 is the target.
What was that?
R0 is where you're gonna.
That's where it's. Yeah. Got you. I see now. Yeah, I know it's with R4. Okay, so R0. We'll hold on to that for a second. So we have R0, which is the like Peacock Slayer just said, it's the target. That's the target register, which is where we're going to store the result of this instruction. Then we have R4, which is says whatever value is at register 4. So in this case, we have 9. So register 4, register 4 is just 9, which is the inning count that I originally set to the game to. This is a 9-inning game, and then 3. So what this says, a lot of words there, but what this says is that add the value at register 4 and 3, and then store the result in register 0. So, or store the result at the address in memory 0.
No, you had it right.
Oh, store the result in register 0?
If you
I see. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. Store the result in register 0. So if I hit step here, it'll execute this line. So register 4 is 9. It says add 3 and store the result in register 0. So it should be 12. And then, we get C, which is 12 in hex. Then these last two instructions here, these are just to store the result at some memory address. In this case, it wants us to look at register 3, and then it with some offset. The offset just means add that number to that register. Anyway, so what essentially the code does for unlimited extra innings, it modifies this instruction here. Instead of it adding 3, it adds like 246 or something like that. So that way, the max inning count's always going to be like some crazy high number, 200, whatever. Essentially,
folks, not to interject, but just for clarity, you would want to figure out where R4 is, or maybe the breakpoint told you that. So you would walk up and see like where R4 gets loaded.
Yeah.
Like loaded in the memory address?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's reading the memory address into the registers, so it can perform quick math on it, and then it'll store it back out to memory.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So if you're really curious, you could be like, well, what the hell is R4? I mean, you probably know that if you're hearing the code, but for a complex instruction, you would walk up and be like, okay, well, where does R4 get set? And then you could figure out what that number is, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. And then these last two instructions just store the result. Let's go to. Do I have it in here? I think I do. max possible inning right here. So
Kanji was not interested in that.
okay, so here's max inning count. So this is max inning count right here. Oh damn it. There we go. This is max inning count right up here. Right now it's 0 because we haven't actually stored the value yet. So if I do, okay, there we go. This is the max inning count, which is C or 12, and then the one coincidentally right before that is the inning count of the game, which is 9. So kind of nicely works out here. We have the inning count of the game at 9, and then the next the next memory address is the max inning count, which is C. So you could probably write this code in 2 different ways. You can either just set this memory address to always be FF, no matter what, or you can just modify the actual instruction. The reason I chose to do the instruction is because sometimes it's a lot more consistent in modding. Like again, you know, with the Yoshi's thing, sometimes memory addresses change for no reason. I didn't anticipate that to happen anyway, but just to be sure.
Yeah, we've made a few bugs by just writing stuff to memory.
Yeah, so in general, it's usually better than changing instructions. But again, sometimes changing instructions leads to a lot of other bugs. You know,
You're gonna
sometimes
get
you gotta be careful. Yeah, there's gonna be bugs. You're never gonna get it right the first time. I remember in one of our early duplicate character codes, it's boosted everyone's batting stats, unexplainable reason. Like Luigi would hit contact home runs, and we didn't know why. So we just kind of scrapped the whole thing and tried a different approach. You know?
No, not even that. The ball was like super bouncy.
Yeah.
Like, it had like no friction. It was bizarre.
Yeah. Weird stuff was going on. We say, well, probably best to just try something else.
I don't know if you could control that. That sounds like a fun thing to play with.
yeah, that would be interesting. One time I accidentally
That's
bugged
probably
the
easier
game
than figuring out MVP.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, we can break stuff in hundreds of ways.
Yeah, I once had it. Let's see. I was trying to do Hazardous Wario's, and I accidentally made it so that every time you hit it into the tornadoes, the ball will get ejected and just be a home run, which was pretty funny. There's another one where like the ball would just disappear and just couldn't see the ball anymore. I have no idea how that worked, you know, but sometimes the bugs you get are funny. Other times not funny because it just crashes. You know, that's not funny. Sometimes it's funny though. You get, you know, weird stuff going on.
I have a kind of unrelated question.
Yeah.
Have you guys found the for the character data the number of frames it takes to get out of a miss-swing situation?
Everybody asked me about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the question people want to know.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that would be in that table.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like an intentional feature. I think that's like an animation that they just didn't trim.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's like a feature. I think that's more of a bug. You might have to find, like the animation stuff,
Gotcha.
and that's gonna be hard.
Yeah, so something like that, I imagine there's most likely not a memory address that says, you know, after this many frames, make Donkey Kong actionable again. I highly doubt that's the case. It's most likely something where it's like, until this animation has finished, you know, Donkey Kong is not actionable. Something along those.
And for some reason, like Bowser Jr.'s is just extended a few seconds.
Yeah, and PD is
PD.
sad. His is not good. Yeah.
But that's a good question. I mean, people really want to know that.
Yeah.
Mostly with just PD. Like PD is really the only one that it becomes like an issue with.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly that.
I wish I had the answer. I do not.
I
Yeah.
think with like frame advance, you could just count the frames. With like going into Dolphin, setting like going to the frame advance thing, and then like just like, you know, just slowly just press it until you're able to press A again, if that makes sense.
I mean, I'm sure you could count them. Yeah, I don't know what that does for you, but you could at least know quantify how frustrated you get.
Oh, whoops. Let's keep this up.
Oh, the other thing I did want to mention, Cokes, you were saying, you were like, oh, and they're right beside each other in memory.
Yeah.
So compilers are really smart and compilers are really dumb. But one way they're really smart is they do try to keep relevant stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually how we found the player charts. I found like the stats for pitching and batting, and I was like, oh, like there's like a ton of. You mind if I grab this screen sharing?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
I was like, oh, there's like a ton of. Why isn't it letting me grab this?
Should be able to go now. I just killed it.
Maybe I can't go live. Oh, there we go. I do actually click the screen. Okay. Open memory viewer. So here is Mario's stuff. Maybe. I was showing you Mario stuff, right?
Yes, you were.
Oh, my keyboard's not working. Man, I cannot catch a break tonight. Okay, well that's annoying, but basically I was like, oh, here's like a big chunk of stuff. Actually, we are on someone's info.
Mhm.
I think this is Mario's stats. I was like,
Yeah,
here's a
it
big
should be.
chunk of stuff, and I was like, here's a bunch of zeros. I was like, here's another chunk of stuff that looks like pretty similar to Mario's. And it turns out like it was Luigi's. And I was like, oh, here's a chunk of stuff. I was like, that's got to be DK's because all the characters have numbers. So I mean, that's like also, I don't want to say it's a good way to find things, but if you're ever looking at stuff that like might have related things like batting stats or things like that, there's a good chance that stuff around it's going to be relevant too. So it's kind of worth checking out sometimes. You never know what you're going to find.
Yeah. All right. What do you think about what we covered so far? Because I feel like the next step from here. I mean, what's the next step from here? It kind of just goes right into ASM, and I don't know if we should cover that now.
Yeah, I think we should kind of just let people try out the tool and
Yeah.
try finding some addresses, getting some breakpoints, and kind of feel free to ask us questions, guys.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, in the modding channel, or you can just directly message us. Either one would work fine. If you don't know what to look for too, like with the memory tool, let's say, I don't know, you think that we've done it all and you don't know what else to do. For practice, you can just, look at something that we've already found and see if you can find it for yourself, and just kind of see how well you are at the tool. Kind of just
and
get
there's
to know
tons
it.
of stuff to find still.
Yeah, there's a million different things we need to find. In fact, I mean, we can just kind of look at the to-do list for right now.
Oh, here's one. I'll do one live because Matty Ice was kind of flipping his lid today about about star chances.
Ah,
So maybe we could just do that one live real quick.
is Star Chance?
Yeah, I've been meaning to do
Okay.
this one for a while.
Didn't you
Uh,
guys
we
figure out-
already found that one, no?
Well, we have the address. So I have the address. I found it. It's very
Okay,
easy.
gotcha.
It's a 1 if it's a star chance. It's a 0 if it's not a star chance. You'll notice it's right beside the number of stars. It's a fun fact. So let me just pick a full team, start the game. I'm gonna set a breakpoint for the is star chance, and we can maybe see how star chances are chosen, or how they're. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. So we'll do
Yeah.
right again because we want to know how the game decides that. I don't want to hit random because I think I have the glitch code on right now.
Ah,
I
yeah.
can just pick a bunch of toads though. Get a bunch of Waluigis.
Yeah, so funny enough with the random code, I did get the random button fixed, but the game just crashes on the next screen. So I gotta fix that now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Powerful, probably. Well, we don't really know what it impacts if it's a star chance or not. So,
Mhm.
Okay, I can just do this in the background until we hit the breakpoint.
Yeah.
I don't want you guys just to watch me.
The game's paused, it wrote it,
Yeah.
the value.
So it
It's
probably wrote a
0.
0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about, or burning questions?
Mhm.
Not
Is this
really
something you guys
anything
think-
burning? It's just, eh,
I like burning stuff.
yeah, it's just, but it's like, it's not as intimidating as
Mhm.
it seems to be, but it's just kind of, you got to start with the base blocks essentially.
Yeah.
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
It's really not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, you know, we were saying before, the next step from here is likely. Oh, wait, so the game just paused.
yeah,
So it looks like we got a star chance, unless it's rewriting it to 0 again.
So we'll check out. Looks like it's storing R3 there. We'll check out R3. It's writing a 0. Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Oh, well,
gonna.
even that might have been handy. You know, I could have walked back.
True.
Get to see,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so you can see now we're a lot more interested in you know, how the assembly and the instructions work and all that. By the way, don't criticize our playing when we're modding, because we're windowed mode runs at about 45 frames per second usually, and it's on keyboard and mouse control.
Thanks, Coach.
So
I appreciate that.
so you know, do not judge us for playing poorly. But yeah, so the next step from here is, you know, writing Gecko codes. How do those work? And then
Oh, here's something
Understanding
interesting. So,
assembly. Okay, yeah, go on.
so we're writing this 0, which is not super interesting, but the step before it's a load byte. So we're loading into R0, and we're loading from R4 minus 1. So if we go to R4, copy that guy, open memory viewer, and minus 1. It's a 1. Is that right? Is that right? It looks like we're writing a 0 though.
Yeah, well, it's likely the replay is just weird.
I don't know why it's doing that. What's it? Maybe I have the math wrong. This does mean minus 1 though, right?
I can't exactly see it. What does it say?
It says R0. So we're loading into R0 at
Mhm.
minus OX001 at R4. So I thought that would be R4 minus 1.
It should be. Huh, that's strange.
Oh, but it's the LBZU, so it could be weird. variant.
Gotcha. Yeah, LBZ is the one we're thinking. So LBZU is probably something different.
So that's not super. I mean, I
Yeah.
could figure out what that instruction is, and if you guys weren't watching me, I would go figure out where we're loading from and why it's a 0, and then that'll tell us why we've chosen a 0 for our star
Mhm.
chance.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a 1. That would be cool.
Yeah. And again, now we're talking about, you know, we're saying all these weird letters. We're talking about assembly instructions. So you can see how that's starting to become the next step from here. But I think if we were to just kind of dump all this info at you at once, it would kind of just be overwhelming. So
Oh, you're right. I think the replay was weird. Oh, we're ready?
it likely is. I've messed around with replays before. They do run kind of strangely.
So here's a funny thing: the replays and like the game. You know, when you like idle and the game
Mhm.
goes to like a real game where like the computer's playing.
Yeah.
I think the computer is actually playing the game
Oh,
on
yeah,
both
100%.
characters.
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, so so a replay is literally the game will just log all of your inputs and then replay exactly what you did. So funny enough, with the for one of the codes, for example, is you know, automatic home runs, and essentially if you hold down A and Z at the same time, the next hit will just be sent to the parking lot, right? So what that code does, it just sets the batter's charge swing and their contact swing stat to just 255, some crazy high number. So if you hit a home run, you always get a replay. But if you don't hold down A and Z during the replay, it'll simulate the game as if you had your normal batting stat, and so the ball will just kind of dribble into the outfield instead of being a home run, and it just kind of looks weird. It'll still give you the run, but the replay will just look very strange.
I did not know that actually. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I have in the notes actually on that code. Make sure to hold down A and Z during the replay. That way, if you're trying to like mess with your friends, you don't accidentally spill the beans during the replay. So
Yeah, that's how we would get star chance, and you know, this would probably take me a few minutes or, you know, even hours.
yeah, I'd say in probably like maybe a week or so. I guess when everyone feels comfortable with this level stuff, after that would be a good time to talk about Gecko Codes and ASM, or maybe even a little bit longer. But I feel like
you're only giving them a week.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely a little bit longer. Yeah, talking about that now would just be too overwhelming. But that
and
is
you can
the
always
next
reach
step
out
here.
if you're ready to do
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly too. It doesn't have to be a set date. Like, oh, do your homework. Make sure you're ready by February 9th. Like,
Yeah,
just
that
whenever you
doesn't-
guys feel ready, we can start to go over that stuff as well. But
Yeah, I just want to highlight you guys. Like, I like you guys are. This is totally within reach. It's not like this mystical process. It's like
yeah,
it's pretty easy once you get into it.
Mhm.
It's just like a different way of thinking and getting used to the tools. And I
Yeah.
have no doubt you guys could do it.
yeah.
So-
All the windows open and the numbers. It just looks intimidating. It's not actually intimidating.
It's not that it's hard. It just seems like it's a lot of work.
It is a bit tedious at times.
I think I'm too lazy of a person. I'm a big idea. You run out of
Oh,
things
hey,
to
we
try to
love
figure out how to
ideas,
do.
too.
Yeah, we do need ideas. I mean, that creativity is what helps a lot of the time. I know for example, fielding abilities were just impossible to find for a while,
Oh my
You
god!
know.
Yeah.
and then the way that they're stored in the game is very strange. It
Bizarre.
kind of makes sense, but it's not intuitive.
The only way we know that is because we found the stats table. I never would have found it
yeah,
through a traditional method.
yeah. So
Do you guys have like a document or something that is your like I guess like agenda sheet or like mission sheet, like things that you guys are trying to work on or your it's like your goals essentially?
So we have some like just written down. I have a little notepad. I put some in the Reddit post as well. There's some things that we're working on. So, for example, like I guess the MVP calculation is one thing. In terms of like that's more of a data mine, but in terms of like cheat codes, one thing I know Peacock Slayer was working on was like the chemistry throws to the cutoff. Because if you throw to a cutoff player, even if the two players have chemistry, it won't actually be a chemistry throw. It won't be boosted. So that was one thing that he was working on. There's a bunch of bullet points in this Reddit post. So boot the game to the character select screen. So you start the game and then you just start off on the captain select. Let's see. Fix the duplicate captain.
We probably should, if you guys are gonna start working on stuff. Right now, it's just me and Cokes, and we talk all the time and just kind of
Yeah.
give each other a heads up when we're working on stuff, so we don't. Step
Did
on
you
each
guys
other's
say that
toes.
you could make players have chemistry with themselves?
Yeah,
in
we could
theory.
try that.
Did you do that in the? That's not in the like patch thing that you uploaded.
No,
right?
it's not.
That would be a fun thing to have.
It would be cool.
Yeah,
If
we
one
can
of
try
if
it
you
right now
if
if you
you're
want
very
to.
motivated, you can go for it now. If you go to, you would have to you just go to that stats table, find the memory just for Mario's chemistry with himself, and set it to.
But do you think that memory address
63.
even exists? Like, if I was making the game, I probably wouldn't even have that.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
it's right here.
Oh, wow.
Yep, right there.
Every
Oh,
character
so
has like a.
I could just do that by myself. You guys know how to do it. It's just not in that thing you upload.
Yeah, the address is there. So if you want to, after this call is over, if you have the time, you can go ahead and do that. You just have to find, again, find those memory addresses. They are in the
That's
table.
wild.
You have to do a little bit of math, and then you just, once you have the memory addresses to go there, you can just write a simple Gecko code to change the memory addresses, change those memory addresses to a different value. That's exactly how the
feel
balance
like
patch code
I
works
still want
itself.
to I want to try the balance patch by itself first. I haven't
Yeah.
even done that yet.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I played a lot of games with my friends. Noki having Baldash is a lot of fun. That I will say, it does artificially, it indirectly nerfs Goomba and Monty a lot because there's no reason to not pick them as your Baldasher anymore, unless you want Goomba pitcher. Not because they're just a lot better.
Are a lot of
that's
the
besides the
regular
point.
stats changed?
Yeah, that's mainly what we focused on. So we didn't nerf anyone. We just kind of buffed the lower tiers to kind of make them more relevant. But Bowser's still
much better.
he's
than
still
ever.
as good as he's been. We didn't nerf anyone.
But so you didn't change Bowser at all.
No, we didn't. the meta is largely the same. We didn't want to really interfere with that.
Just a
But
few little fun things.
yeah, your like 7th through 9th round picks are going to be different now. You can be a lot more creative with your team comps. Bowser, Hammer Bro, DK, Yoshi, they're all still top tiers. But
Yeah, Buff the
now you
Baby,
can actually,
Paragoomba.
Paragoomba is now as fast as Yoshi, so you might see him on
Wow,
a lot
that's-
more teams now.
What a-
Yellow Pianta has the fastest charge pitch in the game. It's faster than Bowser's, so you can throw him on the mound. It's actually pretty hard to react to his pitching. So if you think you want to catch opponents off guard with some mix-ups on pitching, you can now put Yellow Pianta as your pitcher.
And does that also change when you turn the stars on, like doubling all those things or whatever?
Yeah.
Double?
Yeah, it does.
That's pretty neat.
Oh gosh.
So
The
is-
balance
who's
patch
the-
was mainly for stars off, but you could
Who
play
is
stars
the
on.
worst? Who's the worst player that you didn't upgrade? Just Bowser.
That's a really hard question.
In
Or, like,
terms
even
of
just,
stars
like,
off,
some random example. It doesn't have to be exactly the worst.
let me see. I don't think
Uh,
Monty got a buff,
or-
did he?
or even
so
just how many
probably
people
Monty.
Monty did
Didn't
get a
change at
buff.
all.
You
Oh, he
buffed his
did.
pitching. I think.
Oh, that's
just
right.
looking at this, I'm gonna guess Diddy and or Dixie.
Yeah,
Hey,
Okay,
bite
so
your
neither of them
tongue.
got a buff. They're just the same base player.
yeah. Yeah, those two are the same. I'd say the worst character in the game is probably still one of those low tiers, but they're not like unusable.
Yeah,
It's
they're
probably
not
like
unusable.
Monty because Monty now with the
Comes more
pitching
down to
stat.
preference than them being bad.
Yeah, that's
There
kind of
are
the
people
idea
that
with the
you're just
balance
never gonna
patch.
pick.
Yeah. Like, Baby Luigi's actually a decent pick now because he's got a line drive star swing. He's a good 1-star hitter.
That's really sick.
Yeah,
actually.
and then Baby
That's, like,
Mario got like a
The
myriad
babies are
of
good
buffs.
pitchers and stars on. I think
Yes, they are.
I haven't used them enough to be sure, but
Yeah, and
They're
then what was the other one? Koopa is his batting stat is his charge swing is the same as Hammer Bro. It's 85.
I would think that'd be like extremely broken. Like Koopa would be like a top 5 character in the game.
Yeah, I've used him.
He's like-
I've hit a home run with him, but it's not as. I mean, I probably just have to get used to his bat, but not as often as Hammer Bro. There's also things like trajectory to keep in mind.
Oh yeah,
we
that's
did give. We did give. Who was it? We gave
Red Paratroopa.
Paratroopa. Yeah, is that what we're talking about? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the trajectory. We gave him
Gave
Boo's
Boo's
trajectory.
Well, we tried to try it out. Tell me what you think. I don't know if I got it
Yeah.
right or not.
Yeah, there's also another interesting one. Like Shy Guys, all the Shy Guy colors have chemistry with King Boo now. We're able to mess with that chemistry table. And that
Yeah.
works out.
Someone. I think like one of the toads has like magic catch now.
Yeah.
You gave Yellow
Yellow has magic catch. Green has super catch. So Yellow Toad's very good at like third and first, and then Green is preferable for the outfield. And then, yeah, Red and Purple are still good power hitters. Blue is fast. I don't know what else we changed with Blue. Actually, I don't remember.
So
But yeah,
I
now-
am.
Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead.
continue. I was just gonna say, like, now you kind of have the freedom if you want to write a code to give everybody ball dash, for example. You could probably, mess around with that, or if you want to make everyone's batting stat crazy high, or if you wanted to, everyone has chemistry with each other. You could do something like that if you really wanted to.
You cannot give Petey Piranha a tongue catch. I've tried.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Possible. This is probably why did I do it like this? I don't know why I did it like this. Let's see if it works. Hey. So now he has chemistry.
Who has chemistry? With himself?
I have Mario on. God damn it! I have Mario on first and third. I'm not gonna be able to do it this time. And they have chemistry with each other,
Okay, cool.
and seemingly without a bug.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a new code if you want that in the game. There you go.
Well, the nice thing is, like, so what I did was I just I got Mario's. Please let me do it. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got Mario's using this table and the starting address and some other stuff. I can tell you how to do it.
Mhm.
I found his address for chemistry with himself. I added it to my list. I set it to 99 and I locked it. Stepped into a game. tried it out. Like if that's good, then I'll probably write a code for it. If it was janky, we try again.
Mhm.
So really kind of surprised. Not surprised. I'm happy it worked.
Yeah, that was nice. Very smooth. Alright, I think that's it for now. I think we covered pretty much all we needed to.
Yeah.
Now's a good time for last minute questions if anyone's confused on the process.
Yo, I got in late. I think this is really cool what you guys are doing though.
Uh-huh.
Is the is everything written in assembly code? Like, is it all assembly language? Like, how does this work?
So are you referring to the cheat codes like Gecko codes? Or just like the game itself?
The
in
game
general?
itself. Like, is there a particular coding language that it's in, or is it
Yeah, so
it's C that's been compiled into assembly. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So the type of assembly it uses, it's its own like the GameCube kind of has like own assembly language. There's actually a document pinned in the modding chat where it's an entire PDF which goes over what the GameCube's assembly instructions mean and what they do, what the operations all do. The Gecko codes are I call it like a modified form of assembly. It's like kind of assembly, but not really. But it's essentially the Geckos are really just a fancy way of modifying memory addresses, which again is kind of what assembly does, but it's not really assembly. So the Geckos are really just write a 8-bit value to this memory address, write a 16-bit value or 32-bit value to this memory address. You can start doing fancy stuff where you find the 8-digit hex value for a specific assembly instruction. And so if you wanted to change an assembly instruction, you would write an 8-bit value to the memory address of that instruction, and you could change the instruction that way. That's where it gets to be more fancy. And then we have
tools that let us inject ASM too. So
Yeah.
if you're comfortable, God help you, if you're comfortable writing ASM, you can put it in this tool. It'll shoot out codes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something we probably go over into like the next time we do a tutorial. No, that's a bit more advanced.
I will say that writing assembly code from scratch is not the best. I would say. I had to do it a little bit, and it was just like hair tearing out like the fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't recommend it, but for small stuff, I mean, we're doing basic for loops, things like basic branches, like very easy stuff. Like,
gotcha.
Honestly, it's the understanding what the compiler has spit out that's the hard part, because we can control the ASM we write. So.
Right. So do you have like an IDE for like doing all this? Like, is that what you have up right now? Like.
No, this is Dolphin. This is the debug mode in Dolphin. It'll show you the assembly that we're running through, and you can set breakpoints and check it out at any given point. And
I haven't done that yet. I have Dolphin, but I haven't actually like checked out any of that yet.
Yeah, if you run it in debug mode, you have access. If you pause it at any point, it'll like stop and show you where you're at in the assembly.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's how you could do like a tool assisted speedrun or something, right?
I mean, there's
kind of like
much more user-friendly tools for that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounded like a more of an advanced question, so I assume you have programming knowledge.
Yeah, I'm a software engineer, but
Gotcha.
I haven't gone too much into like actually modding games before, so this is pretty interesting.
Gotcha. Yeah, but I imagine you pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like fun.
Yeah, the Gecko codes, all we've done so far is write memory addresses to whatever value. We've done changing an instruction with Gecko codes. You can also do conditionals, such as if this memory address is equal to whatever value, then execute the remaining code. And then there's stuff like ASM injection, where when the game gets to this specific memory address, instead writes a branch, and it branches to another point in memory, and it'll execute whatever assembly you want, and then return back to where it left off. That's where it gets a lot more fancy.
The sky's the limit.
It sounds kind of like a pointer. Is that kind of like what it's like?
Yeah, essentially, yes.
Yeah.
I have a question in regards to the Gecko code. So I'm just looking at the Yoshi's Park and the Warriors Palace hazardless codes, and I noticed that both of those codes, like the first lines are exactly the same with each other, and the final lines are exactly the the same
Yeah.
with each other. Could you explain the kind of like why that is? I guess.
Sure. So that was a workaround for a bug we found. So originally the code was just whatever the middle chunk was. It should be like 04 or whatever. The original code was just only those, but we found that it gave a lot of bugs in the main menu for whatever reason. And so, a lot of times it just crashed the game. So the workaround is that we had to set that the codes were only active when a game was being played. So that first line it should be 20 some memory address and then space and then something else. So that first line is a conditional. It says if this memory address, if the value at this memory address is equal to this number, then execute the remaining code. The memory address that I use is a memory address that changes when a game starts. So that's like a makeshift way to check if the game is being, if a game is in session. So, if it's equal to a specific value and it's equal to that value when a game is started, then execute the remaining codes. The last line is what ends the if statement. So it's like E2, 0, 0, 1, and then the rest. It ends the if statement. So if I were to not end that if statement, the conditional would actually apply to every single code below it, including other Gecko codes. So you have to put that last code in to end the conditional. But that's what that is. That might have been, I don't know if I lost you there or not, but
No.
that's
you
what
got me.
those two.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. It's in short, it's just a conditional to check if the game's being played or not.
Got it.
I probably missed it from before, but what is the Gecko code?
That was for the hazardless stadiums.
I just mean like I'm not familiar with what Gecko code is. In
Oh,
general.
okay, got you. It's just a way to modify. It's a tool for modifying memory addresses. At its core, that's what it is, and it lets you do a bunch of fancy stuff.
Nice. Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah.
That's all I had. I mean, if you guys
Yeah,
want to stick around,
that's all
you
I
can
got.
probably. I don't know, Danny Boy, are you still recording?
I am still recording. You just let
Okay,
me know when to
gotcha.
stop recording.
You can probably stop recording.
Yeah, now's probably a good time.
All right, cool. Thank you guys.
Yeah.